Welcome to Chapter 8 of Deadly Manners. We will begin our program after this quick word from our sponsors.
MeUndies are the softest, most comfortable underwear you will ever wear, period. Every pair of MeUndies is sustainably sourced and made from micromodal, which is a fabric that's 3 times softer than cotton. And you can get joggers or hachi shorts, and if you're used to buying boring underwear, MeUndies is going to change everything. Cheeky briefs, bikinis, thongs, whatever you feel like. You have to feel for yourself why MeUndies has sold over 5 million pairs to date. And if you don't love your first pair, they're free. For a limited time, get 20% off your first pair, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/deadly. That's MeUndies.com/deadly.
Have you guys checked out Today Ticks?
I know I have.
Exactly. If you don't listen to Rue and I on What's the Tea, we are obsessed with Today Ticks. And what it is an app or a website. You can choose which way you want to go. Today Ticks, TIX, and it's the place to go for discounted tickets to shows. And not just Broadway anymore. It's comedy. It's anything that's going on in your city. Today Ticks. Well, I just saw a ballet with my daughter.
You are kidding
We
me.
went to go see the Red Shoes down at the Amundsen. We got tickets at Today Ticks.
I love that so much. And it's in so many cities, New York, LA, San Francisco, Boston. But the best part is that it makes getting tickets so easy. They meet you in front of the theater with your tickets. We're talking premium seats.
Yes.
And discounted seats.
Go to todaytix.com or download the app, and don't forget the offer code for $15 off your first purchase is DEADLY. It's todaytix.com, offer code DEADLY.
Running ramshackle over voters and constituents alike, Roger more often than not got what he wanted. That's why Roger found himself genuinely surprised to have a blade pointed in his face. Even more shocking was the fact that the individual brandishing the carving knife in his direction was none other than his long-suffering wife, Nancy.
And I swear to God, if you go out there and tell William Billings what you just saw in here, I'll kill you myself.
But perhaps none were more surprised by this development than Nancy herself. Courage was a new look for her, but certainly one she wore fashionably.
Just what the devil do you think you're doing, woman?
For the briefest of moments, Nancy allowed her gaze to flicker down to the object in her hand.
Nancy, you should put the knife down.
With the sound of Veronica's voice, any uncertainty that had begun to take hold of Nancy dissipated in an instant. If anything, her friend's interjection seemed to strengthen her resolve.
I will not lower this blade until you hear what I have to say.
This is insane. You'd hold your own husband hostage, and for what? To lecture me?
Oh, it's rich listening to you complain about being held hostage. Now you know what it's like to have been married to you all these years.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean?
Oh, come on, Roger. You know exactly what it means. You don't care about me. You barely look at me. This isn't a marriage, it's a facade. And not even a very good one at that.
I beg your pardon.
We don't talk. We make excuses to not be in the same room when we're at home. We rarely go out. And when we do, like tonight, I passively nod as you actively drink.
I do not drink that much.
Please! That's why we came to the kitchen in the first place. Because you were worried you had to go a few extra minutes without your precious booze. You only ever think about yourself. You never think about the harm your actions could cause. Do cause.
What harm? I'd be doing everyone a favor by exposing this little charade of theirs. It's a sickness, Nancy. The fact that the maid would rather bed another woman than, say, a virulent man like me.
Excuse me?
Be that as it may, it doesn't mean I still won't be telling William about this abomination of an affair. He has the right to know. It's my duty as a member of society and as his friend.
And I'm telling you that you will not.
Why? Why do you care?
Because, Roger, They deserve the chance that we never had. Our marriage is one of convenience. I was broke and scared. You offered economic and financial security. I thought that was enough, but it's not. Life is nothing without love. I've been unhappy for a long time. I suspect you have too.
Nancy.
Seeing these two women dare to defy convention, to put their very livelihoods on the line for the sake of their passion, it's a wake-up call to me. We don't get a lot of time. We should use it wisely. We should use it for love.
What's this threatening of livelihoods talk?
I won't let you leave me.
That's not your choice to make.
Roger stared at Nancy for a few moments of extremely uncomfortable silence, lost in thought. Finally,
William has to know, Nancy. Beyond the affront of this lesbianism, it's only right. His wife is having an affair with the help, no less.
I'm still in the room.
It's unfair to keep him in the dark in his own marriage, even if the truth hurts.
And I recognize that, Roger. But not tonight. Not with everything going on. Not with all the murder and mayhem. It is not our place to throw another log onto the fire.
Fine. I will agree to keep my mouth shut for now, but only if she
Roger pointed at Veronica.
agrees that she will reveal the truth to William tonight.
Roger, that's not...
That's my deal. I'll keep Mum for a bit, but if it happens tonight, she either does it in her time or I do it in mine. Am I understood, Veronica?
Yes, of course.
Good. Now, Nancy, will you put down the knife?
It's all right, Nancy.
Fine.
Now, where are those gin and brandy bottles?
Through the pantry door there. Second shelf.
Great. Mustn't waste time.
What just happened?
He's placated. For now. As long as he has the promise of cocktails to get him through the evening, he'll keep his mouth shut.
Nancy,
You don't have to say anything, Veronica.
thank you for sticking up for us, for me, for putting your neck on the line.
Nancy shrugged as if it were standard operating procedure.
It's time we all lived our best lives.
If we all live through the night.
Minor details.
Thank you again.
If Nancy heard Veronica, she didn't acknowledge. Instead, the newly empowered politician's wife stared into the distance, as if she were already dreaming of the life she planned to live.
I better go check on him in the pantry. Make sure he's not making off with any more bottles than he's supposed to.
Veronica and Beatrice watched Nancy walk off in silence. Several moments after Nancy disappeared into the pantry, Beatrice turned to her employer and lover with an expression of both confusion and hope.
Are you really going to tell William? I know Roger's intent was malicious, but perhaps it's a blessing in disguise.
Now is not the time, Beatrice.
Well, if not now, when?
At this, Veronica turned to her maid with an almost manic look in her eye.
When we don't have guests to attend to.
Back in the main room, the core group of guests were growing ever restless. Beleaguered by murder and lack of crudité, it seemed unlikely that morale was going to be raised any time soon. As per usual, socialite extraordinaire Barbara DuPont was the most vocal about the group's woes.
What on earth is taking Veronica so long with my snack? Honestly, her abilities as a host are about as strong as Fatty Arbuckle's were to say no to a sandwich.
As if on cue, the Billings butler appeared at her side, clutching a bottle.
Perhaps the miss would like another glass of vermouth.
Vermouth! Has the alcohol supply gotten so low that you'd sink to offering me straight vermouth? What do I look like? A Bouvier?
I haven't even had a vermouth drink since that terrible ordeal at Sardi's back in 1946.
That's because it's a tacky mixer that's out of vogue and out of fashion.
So, that's a no?
Just Leave the bottle, George.
As you wish, madam.
Placing the bottle in Barbara's disdainful but eager hands, the butler quickly turned on his heel and put as much distance between the socialite and her crony as the room allowed. As he crossed the small expanse, he couldn't help but notice Olivia, sitting apart from the group, head placed sullenly in her hands. Concerned, he approached her.
Miss Olivia?
George.
Is everything all right?
Beyond the fact that people keep getting murdered in all sorts of grisly manners in front of us?
Yes, I will admit that it certainly has placed a pall over the evening's festivities, and a few stains on the carpet.
There's just gotta be something I missed. I was so certain it was the fortune teller, or Nancy, or... I honestly don't know.
Still, the young Miss's desire to deduce is nonetheless admirable.
Thank you, George. I'd be more flattered by your belief in me if people didn't keep dying.
Well, hopefully someone, if not you, gets to the bottom of this ghastly crime before this campaign of terror continues further.
Hopefully.
The butler placed a reassuring hand on Olivia's shoulder and offered a smile. Weakly, Olivia smiled back.
Is there something else on your mind?
It's just... I feel like these people have, I don't know, rubbed off on me. Maybe. I feel so detached. There are dead people piling up in this house and I'm not even scared. Like everyone else here. Just acting like the night should go on as planned.
What else is there to do?
I don't know. But this isn't normal, right? To not feel anything?
Surely there is no protocol on how to feel in situations such as these.
But a part of me also...
Olivia paused as she nervously fiddled with the champagne flute in her hand.
Miss?
When I think about all the other parties, all the other guests, how awful they were to me, the terrible things they said about me, the way they belittled me in front of an audience but attempted to state their physical curiosities in private.
Miss Olivia, are you telling me?
I just mean, after all of that, the fact that somebody is picking them off one by one. Granted, perhaps they don't all deserve it, but some of them do.
Olivia immediately scanned the butler's face, making sure he was still with her, that he wasn't going to turn and tell her mother that her daughter may in fact be of a disturbed variety. To her relief, he slipped her a small smile.
I understand and agree completely.
You do?
Of course. Not everyone deserves the privilege that is bestowed upon them. I am of the mindset that on a night like this, the playing field is finally leveled. Death is the great equalizer of us all.
Wow. You should write that down.
Yoo-hoo! We're back! And we brought booze and bites.
The maid, at the behest of Veronica, had sidled up to Barbara with a platter of organized treats.
What is this?
Water chestnuts in a brown sauce glaze. They're all the rage overseas.
It seems preposterous.
Now, Babs, hold on a tick. I think I've heard about this. Popular in Shanghai or Rancho Cucamonga or somewhere exotic like that.
Oh? Well, I suppose I can give it a whirl. If the rancho set approve, of course. It does have a certain continental flavor.
Satisfied, my dear? I did, after all, make special arrangements to have the snack made especially for you.
It's fine, I suppose.
And since no one here seems to have the appetite you do, my pet, I certainly couldn't leave the social scene's biggest asset famished.
Now, just what are you?
Anyway, I best go tend to William, my poor suffering husband who's been tending to his wounds alone while I've been slaving in the kitchen to find you some nibbles.
Oh, yes.
Ta!
As Veronica crossed the room, the maid fell into step alongside her.
Thank you for tending to Miss DuPont, dear Beatrice.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Billings. We still need to talk.
About what?
About us. About what was said in the kitchen.
Not now. William!
Veronica approached her husband, who sat in a chair, delicately holding his blood-stained side, the result of an unseen attack earlier in the evening. Standing next to him, drink in hand, was Roger. Veronica eyed Roger with suspicion.
How are you feeling, dearest?
Winded, but on the mend. Thank you for asking, dear.
And, what were you and Roger talking about?
Nothing of importance, I assure you.
Oh, come now, Roger. Veronica and I have no secrets, and perhaps she can offer a woman's insight.
What are you talking about, dear?
Well, it seems...
William paused and looked at Roger, as if waiting for permission. In response, Roger shrugged.
Oh, by all means, tell her. I'm terribly interested to hear her thoughts.
Well, Veronica, shocking as it may seem, it appears as though Nancy and Roger are having some marital difficulties.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
She claims our marriage is a loveless sham. Can't imagine where she got that notion.
Roger stared at Veronica so hard she could almost feel holes drilling into her skull.
Especially considering I've done nothing but provide for her.
Well, love is more than having things.
Oh! Care to elaborate on that for the group, Veronica?
No need to be pointed, Roger. I think Veronica is just trying to help.
I don't need her help. Nancy doesn't know what she wants.
Well, first and foremost, Nancy would like to be a part of the conversation.
Turning, the trio of Veronica, William, and Roger saw Nancy standing behind them. How long she had been there was unclear, but the look on her face told the three of them that she had heard enough.
Now, just a damn minute.
No. You're done talking. Now you're going to listen to me. It's time for my story to begin. Without you.
Roger's eyes grew wide in anger.
How dare you?
How dare me? How dare you? I was willing to keep this quiet tonight. I promised you I would. But as usual, you only thought of yourself.
Oh, watch your mouth, Nancy. You don't have a knife now.
Knife?
I don't need a knife to cut you where it counts, you drunk. Face the facts. We're through.
Unable to contain his anger any longer, something in Roger snapped. Throwing his cocktail glass to the ground, the politician's hands flew through the air.
You bitch!
Oh!
She stumbled backwards in surprise and pain.
Roger! No!
Before Roger's assault could continue, William leapt behind him, wrapping his arms around his old friend in an effort to restrain him. In his drunken state, Roger thrashed against William several times before ultimately giving up. His gaze never left Nancy, who was now clutching her cheek in dismay.
How could you?
Me? You brought this on yourself.
Rushing to Nancy's side, Veronica put her arm around the crying woman in an attempt to comfort her. Nancy leaned into her friend and wept freely. Roger watched the display with a cold eye. Struggling in William's grip, Roger's eyes never left his wife.
Let me go!
Are you gonna behave?
Yes.
All right.
Released from William's grip, Roger huffily adjusted his jacket and looked around the room with wild eyes. The gathered guests, having just bore witness to his assault on Nancy, averted their gaze from him.
Does anyone else have anything to say about my marriage? I thought not. Ugly business occasionally has to be dealt with in ugly ways, but I think it's best we all calm down.
You think?
Perhaps a drink will be good to relax the nerves. You, Maid, fetch me a cocktail.
Beatrice, you will do no such thing.
Excuse me?
She will not serve you, not after that display.
You are hardly in a position to be acting high and mighty, Veronica.
What are you talking about?
You are behaving like a madman, Roger. You just struck your wife in a room full of people. Do you think anyone here values your opinion?
Looking around, Roger noted that the guests continued to avoid eye contact. and those who did returned nothing but a cold stare. The politician's expression quickly turned to one of agitated rage.
Fine! You gonna have my fractured wife and your fractured life. I don't have to stand here and be judged by the lot of you. Miscreants and lowlives, every single one.
Roger began to storm out of the room, pausing on his way to snatch the bottle of vermouth from James Egley's hands.
Oh.
You can all rot.
After Roger disappeared from sight, those left in the main room exchanged looks through the uncomfortable silence.
Where is he going now?
Oh, who cares? Nancy? Nancy, dear, shh, it'll be okay.
I'm fine. It's fine.
Nancy wiped the tears from her eyes and sat up.
Well, I'm just sorry you all had to witness that.
Veronica stroked Nancy's hair in a comforting fashion and offered her a kind smile.
I think we've all seen our share of skeletons in the closet tonight.
At this, Veronica and Nancy shared a knowing smile.
No one here is going to judge you.
Be that as it may, this certainly wouldn't have happened at one of Astor's parties.
God, I hate her.
In spite of herself, Nancy laughed.
Now how about we get you one of those drinks, huh?
I'd like that.
Veronica helped Nancy to her feet.
Beatrice, can we whip up a cocktail for Miss Calloway?
Right away, Mrs. Billings.
The maid left to fetch Nancy her drink.
Calloway. Now there's a name I haven't heard in quite some time.
How does it feel?
Right. Like it's always belonged with me.
The lights flickered, and various guests clutched each other in panic. Even Olivia braced herself against the shelving behind her, surreptitiously grabbing a candelabra as if preparing for defense. But a wave of relief washed over the crowd as the lights stayed lit.
James, did you just shove the rest of those water chestnuts in your mouth?
I figured if it was my time, I didn't want to go out hungry.
Everyone's so jumpy.
Well, not all of us have had half a bottle of vermouth.
The real problem, aside from the murders, of course, is that the lights keep flickering on and off. The snow is nearly stopped now, so there must be something going on with the fuse box.
Is that a big issue, dear?
Well, it will be if the fuse shorts out for good. It could leave us all in the dark, which I don't think any of us want.
Though it would be par for the course for a Veronica party.
What do you suggest?
I better go take a look at the box, just to be sure.
Must you?
It will take but a moment.
Maybe I should come with you.
Nonsense, darling. I'll be gone for only an instant. It's safer if you stay here.
But is it safe for you?
Yeah, your old dad already got roughed up once tonight and lived to tell the tale. If anyone's out there lurking in the dark, they know I'm not going down without a fight.
William placed a reassuring hand on Olivia's shoulder.
I'll be right back.
As William left, the maid returned with a fresh tray of liqueurs.
Olivia, darling, would you like to join Nancy and I for a drink?
Aren't you tired of playing hostess yet?
You have to hold on to what you have, dear. Now, do you want a refreshment or not?
Fine.
Veronica and the maid fussed over preparing the latest batch of refreshments, and Olivia found herself standing alone with Nancy. As the two stood in awkward silence, Olivia finally spoke up.
I'm sorry for pointing fingers earlier.
It's okay. I understand. We're all scared. And despite everything, I should go bring Roger back here.
What? Why?
Well, as you keep reminding us, there is a murderer on the premises. Roger and I may be over, but I don't need things to be that final, if you'll excuse me.
Olivia watched as she walked out the door, conflicted over her admiration of Nancy for taking ownership of her life, and the fact that she thought that Nancy was making a terribly stupid decision.
Where's she off to?
She's going after Roger.
I see. But what if Roger is the killer?
Then marrying him is the second dumbest thing she's done.
The butler rushed inside the party room, cutting through the crowd and making his way to Veronica's ear.
Madam.
For heaven's sake, what's happened now?
It appears as though Mr. and Mrs. Clark are arguing quite heatedly again.
Already?
The butler nodded, gesturing for her to follow. As Veronica marched out of the room, the maid tailed at her feet.
I'm coming with you.
Beatrice, don't.
Me too.
That's all quite unnecessary. I'll have George with me for protection.
Veronica looked at Beatrice and her daughter, their eyes determined yet still fearful. She sighed in defeat.
Well, come along then.
Veronica, the butler, the maid, and Olivia all headed out into the hallway.
Roger.
Sounds like them.
They followed the sound of the ruckus, which led them to the foyer staircase. There, they spotted Roger and Nancy arguing at the top.
Just go back in there, Roger. Enough of this behavior. It's dangerous to be alone in this house.
You're leaving me. What does it matter?
Roger, come down here now.
I won't take orders from a sexual pervert.
Roger.
Sexual pervert? What is he talking about?
Nothing, dear. He's just a pathetic drunk.
A drunk with two working eyes. I know what I saw.
What did you see, Roger?
Veronica gasped as a door upstairs flew open, and her husband emerged from inside.
Nothing. I thought you were downstairs fixing the fuse box.
I was. I came up here after to have a look at that faulty bathroom door when I started hearing all this commotion.
Roger swigged from the liquor bottle in his hand, a smug smile creeping across his face.
Well, I'm certainly glad to see you. It's a funny story, actually, though probably not for you. You'll probably want some of this.
Just stop it. Enough.
She's right, Roger. Just shut up already.
Veronica ran upstairs with haste. She lunged at Roger, attempting to remove the bottle from his grasp. The butler ran after her, Olivia and Beatrice keeping up behind.
Mrs. Billings!
Mama!
Madam!
Roger squirmed as both Veronica and Nancy clawed at him. Olivia and the maid tried to grab his arms as he wildly swung the bottle around.
You bras think you can stop me?
Sir, please! Someone could get hurt.
William watched incredulously at the scene unfolding before him.
Everyone just calm down. This has to end.
Oh, it will when you hear what I have to say.
Reaching for the bottle, trying to pin his arms back, pulling at his shirt, a sea of hands groped and yanked at an extremely belligerent Roger, who seemed to be impervious to their efforts. And then...
Thank you for listening. We'll have a preview of Chapter 9 after this quick word from our sponsors.
MeUndies are the softest, most comfortable underwear you will ever wear, period. For a limited time, get 20% off your first pair, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/deadly. That's MeUndies.com/deadly.
Getting tickets to the theater doesn't have to be difficult, you guys. Today Tix is your ticket to the best theater in your city. From front row seats to serious discounts, go to todaytix.com or download the app. And don't forget the offer code for $15 off your first purchase is DEADLY. And treat yourself to a show. It's Today Tix, offer code DEADLY.
Oh no.
Mr. Billings.
An utter travesty.
This was supposed to be my night. I was supposed to have my comeback.
Veronica, enough.